Hello everybody and welcome to, I don't even remember what episode it is at this point, but Race 8, the Canadian Grand Prix, Race 9, the Canadian it's Race 9, the Canadian Grand Prix, episode number 7 of the My Team career mode here. You see, we have actually dropped to last place in the vehicle performance chart here. The last 3 Grand Prix, though, it's been tough for us. As you see, we're just going to work on fixing up the aero upgrade, just checking if there's any other upgrades we can do. But yeah, as I said, the last 3 Grand Prix, after Miami, where we scored our first points, yeah, you saw the last 3 DNF'd. In all 3 of them, you saw in the last episode. So I was this episode. Oh my gosh! So we get another failed upgrade. But this episode was supposed to come out yesterday, but there was an internet issue, and I had an issue recording. So because of said internet issue, but here we are. We did re-overtake Williams on the chart. You see, Haas has actually really dropped here. But let's head in to the Pirelli Hot Lap, where we're going to do the Autocross in the Mercedes AMG GT Black Series. Here we are, though. 5 red lights, and away we go here. You gotta watch the wheel spin in these cars, but down into the first slalom bit. This starts in turn 1. This is actually a very fun autocross course if you get it right. And the start of this so far has been pretty good for us. You can kind of see where the next gate is. It's not very easy, but you can. Through the second chicane now. See, I nearly hit the gate there. I'm just trying to see where I'll have to turn. So far, so good though. Through the corner. This is a really tight bit, but we do make it. It's still been pretty good. Now, what's coming up next, you're going to see a giant brain fart on my behalf. I thought this was the end, right here. I thought this was the final one. And I completely missed the gates and went straight into the barrier. I thought that was the last gate right there. It's completely an idiotic move on my behalf, but we continued on. 20 seconds added to our time for us missing those 2 gates, but I don't even know what I was thinking at that point. But now we're just going to try and get through the rest of this as quick as possible. Luckily you can't damage these supercars, so that's a positive. But here we go. Now it's the final run up to the line. Just a little bit more of a slalom. It's going to be a bronze here. We would have got, I believe, we would have gotten gold if we didn't miss those 2. But with that, let's get ready to head into the Canadian Grand Prix. Here we are now, just heading into practice around around Montreal here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. One thing I'd like to say before this, Canada is one of my favorite tracks. I love running this track. I'm really good at it on the game. So it's going to be very interesting. We're going to head into the track acclimatization program. Here we are on our final lap of the track acclimatization program. Going for a purple lap. I don't believe we actually will be able to get it here. Obviously, we're down 100 points with only a couple more corners to go. Through the final chicane, a little bit aggressive into the barrier, and we lose our front wing. So it is only going to be green, but a good first practice program here. Here we are now on our qualifying pace run. Gonna see how well we do. I really feel like I can hook up a lap around here. I've definitely been pretty good in qualifying at this track. You see, though, we do lose time in the first corner, or in the second corner, I mean, and we actually do end up cutting through the grass, getting a corner cut warning. But still down on the lap here. We actually gained, which is surprising on entry we gained, but see on exit, that is literally my worst corner on this track, and you see we are actually way down on time here. But this final sector is where I can really hook things up, and we do cut the corner and go for a half spin. And we're gonna retry the program after that. So here we go, second attempt on the qualifying case program. We'll see how I am. We're here now in the final sector of the lap. We are just barely down. Had a really big struggle through the hairpin, down 3/10 just because of the hairpin. Now though, on the run up into the final 2 corners, let's see how we do through the final chicane. We're nearly 4/10 down. We need 4/10. We go second in the speed trap. We kind of cut the corner, and we're not going to be able to get the qualifying pace done. I don't know why I struggle in that. We go to the top by 3 seconds over Charles Leclerc. Yet we still end up we still don't get the program. Here we are now in quali, going out for our first run in Q1. Obviously, not really looking forward to it after the lap there in practice. We're gonna come out right ahead of our teammate Oscar Piastri, and we'll see how this lap goes. Here we are about to start our first flying lap here in Q1, down into turn 1 for the first time. We go in way too deep, really missed the corner, and exiting the corner, we're going to be stuck beside Daniel Ricciardo, and that's going to lose us even more time on this first run. But let's see if we can gain anything back. Obviously, probably not going to be the best lap definitely not going to be the best lap I could have done here after that mistake. But we're going to see what we can do. That corner is very tough. It's hard to keep traction. The back end just wants to step out. But we're going to keep going. We go wide through the chicane. Or through that third chicane. Or fourth chicane on the track, I mean. But down into the hairpin. This is, remember the corner, we lost a ton of time in the practice program. But now the run up into the final chicane, DRS is deployed, or DRS is open, I mean. Down into the final chicane, Alex Albon goes a 1:12.7. He's on provisional pole. We go very aggressive on the curbing, somehow don't pick up damage. And here's our lap time. It's going to be a 1:12.8, a 10th off of Albon, which is very good. We do go ahead of Oscar Piastri as we're going to return to the pits. Here we are now at the end of the session. You see as we're going by Esteban Ocon, and he runs into the back of us. The Alpine just drove into the back of us after he let us by. Luckily, we don't pick up any damage. But we're going out for a second flying lap here. We're P18. And obviously, I feel like we can definitely make it into Q2. We're going to go back around Esteban Ocon's Alpine. We're going to cover him off. He pulls into the pits. Luckily, we didn't get damage from that. But here we go. Run up to the line. We need to get into the top 16 to have a shot at Q2 for the first time. Remember, in Jeddah, we actually qualified. Or we should have been through to Q2, but we didn't. We crashed out before we actually got the shot. So we're up 6/10 here on our first lap. Nearly up 7/10 already in the first sector, and it is up 7/10. We actually go purple through the first sector. What is happening here? We do lose the back end, but we're up 9/10 on our first run. We are currently ahead of Pierre Gasly. We go in deep though. We end up cutting the corner, but no warning. A second up. Now we are losing time to our first run a bit, but we are still 9/10 up on our first Q1 run. We're still 9/10 up now. Final straightaway, we do catch a little bit of grass. DRS is open now. Do we have any more time to gain into the final 2 corners? Let's see. Into the braking zone for the final chicane. Very aggressive on the curbing. Right out to the wall. DRS is open again. We did lose 2/10 in there, but we go P8 in Q1. We end up 12th, and we make it through to Q2 for the first time in our career. the first time we'll actually get to participate in Q2. Because again, we should have made it in Jeddah, but I was an idiot on the cooldown lap. But it is going to be P12 here in Q1, and we'll have our first Q for our first ever Q2 appearance. Heading through the final chicane. We're going to be very careful here. We do go over the curb. Luckily, no damage there off the wall. But here we go. Run up to the line. And we're going to start our first lap here in Q2. Down into turn 1 a lot smoother than our first lap in Q1. And yet again, we're going to come out behind Daniel Ricciardo, our rival. And obviously, the unfortunate thing, McLaren got an update. They went way up the chart with the patch here, and that's going to be very unfortunate for us in our battle with Daniel Ricciardo here in the rivalry, which we're already down in after the last couple of races. But we are going to get around the McLaren here. So far, a pretty clean lap. Obviously, I had a little bit of a traction issue. Very aggressive over the curbing, right out to the wall here, down into the hairpin for the first time in Q2. So far, a decent lap for us. I don't know if this will be enough to get us straight through to Q3. But down in, or on the final straight for the first time, George Russell puts in a 1:11.3. I definitely don't think we're going to have enough to run that. But very aggressive on the curbing in the final corner. DRS is open. And here we go for our first lap. It's going to be a 1:12.6. We are way off the pace right now. Here we go, though, for our second run in Q2. Currently running 15th. We're on another set of new soft tires. We have used 4 sets, so if we make it through to Q3, we will only have 1 new set to use in that final session. But here we go now, making the run up to the line, or making the run into the final corner. Run up to the line now. DRS is open, coming to start the lap. Here we go for our first lap, a little bit down, but we're going to instantly gain a bit of time into turn 1. Already 2 tenths up on our first lap. Nearly 3 tenths up, a very good run through turn 2. Through the chicane for the first time, we're going to be very aggressive. Just playing with the track limits. 4 tenths up on our lap, or on our first run. We are purple in the first sector again, a little bit early on the turn-in, but we're still, we do lose a little bit of time there on exit, but so far so good. Heading into this tough chicane. It's a very weird chicane. We do run wide again, still playing with track limits. Half a second up on our lap. We are up a half a second on Sonoda. 8 tenths up on our first lap, back down to 7th. So far so good. Do we get a good exit? Not quite. 30 seconds left in the session. This is our only shot at getting through into Q3. Can we do it? Down into the final chicane now. Let's see where the time puts us. Very aggressive. Floor damage to the car. DRS is open. The final run. We are second up and we go P4. What a lap. P4 now. We just wait and see if we get through. 3 seconds are left. We beat Bottas. We beat the Haas. Here comes a Ferrari going through. Let's see where they go. They do go ahead of us. Sainz goes quickest. See where the Red Bull is. Perez goes quickest now, but he was already ahead of us. We're still P5. That's an Aston. There goes Hamilton up ahead of us now. The McLaren goes through. He's behind us. Another Red Bull. They were already ahead of us. Here comes the Alpine. They go 9th. Another McLaren. Lando Norris. He goes 8th. Let's see. Alpine again, I believe, just behind us. And we made it into Q3 for the first time in the My Team career mode. We will be in Q3 here in Season 1 of My Team in Canada. Here we are in Q3 for the first time, going out for our one and only run towards the beginning of the session, because there was supposed to be rain at the end of the session, and I did not want to risk that, but here we go. He accidentally went out for a flying lap. George Russell is out of the session here. What happened to the Mercedes? Oh, and he just overshot it in the final chicane into the wall of champions. But here we go, though, getting set for our first lap in Q3. The only lap we'll do in Q3 here. I mean, I never would have thought we'd be able to do this, but here we go. Run up to the line now. For our only run, we cannot make a mistake here. We gotta push down into the braking zone for turn 1, right there on the curbing. And Hamilton goes quickest with a 1 minute 12.1. That's not a very quick time, though, from the Mercedes. He got stuck behind a McLaren, it looks like. We're very aggressive. Actually go through the grass a bit. Here we go, though. End of the first sector. We do not go fastest. Leclerc puts in a 1 minute 11.9. Still not really where you want to be here in quali, but here we are. We did not go purple in the first sector, which is not a really good sign, but here we go. Down this back straight into the chicane. Very aggressive here. Yes, slightly getting oversteer on exit. So far, so good. We're going to go 3 seconds quicker than Perez. Obviously not a pushing lap from the Red Bull. Here we go, though, down the final straight. Gonna have DRS open here at the end of the straight. DRS is open now. Final straightaway here in Canada. Max Verstappen, there's the first competitive time. A 1 minute 11.4 through the final chicane. Very aggressive. Floor damage to the car. We get a warning. But on the run up to the line, it's gonna be a 1 minute 11.6. Puts us P2 for now.
Yes, mate, that's P2. You're
Holy cow, what a lap. We now will get to wait till the end of the session here. Here we are at the end of the session. It's going to be P7 for us for the first time in the My Team career mode. Just behind Lando Norris. We're kind of in a McLaren sandwich. But let's head in to the race in Canada.
It's time once again then to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Verstappen, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Norris, Thomas, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, and George Russell, Ocon, Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, and Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Vettel, Oscar Piastri, and Alex Albon, Joe, Stroll, Latifi, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Let's discuss Red Bull. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
So there you have it, starting P7 here for the first time this season. We're going to go for the mediums to hard strategy. Basically the normal strategy here, taking out a bit of fuel from the car. As we head now to the formation lap, I'm going to say one thing. At the end of lap 1, the recording cut out, so there's going to be like a span of 5 laps.
Right, let's get the car up to temperature on this lap,
go missing here, and I didn't realize till about lap 6. But let's head into the formation lap now. Here we are now getting set to pull into the grid spot. It's going to be an optimal grid spot here. For the first time, we're going to actually have to wait for people to get onto the grid.
Okay, so that's the rest of the grid
here.
forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights.
But now getting set for the 5 red lights. Everyone on the grid. 5 red lights are out and away we go here for the Canadian Grand Prix. We're get a decent start here, looking on Lando Norris down into turn 1 where Down is inside. Trying to make the move on Leclerc and looking 3 wide around the outside of Hamilton, and Verstappen not going to be able to make it stick. But we are going to clear Lando Norris out of the first corner. Hamilton, Verstappen still side by side. We're going to make it 3 abreast. Big aggressive move here. We're going to make it stick on Verstappen and Hamilton. We get around the points leader here on the opening lap, as well as Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion. But we're gonna we're gonna come out P4 here, 2 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. Now, I said to myself here, if Verstappen does get back to us, I'm not gonna really fight him too hard. Obviously, we're both Red Bull power units. We do force him to the outside a bit, but in the end of this, he's got a better car than us. So we're gonna be aggressive, but not dirty with Verstappen here on the first lap. And you see, he's gonna easily get ahead of us here at the end of the lap, but you can start to see the recording cutting out. But Verstappen does end up ahead of us here at the end of lap 1. Hamilton was trying to put the pressure on too. Here we are though, back on lap 8. And this is right after Marquez told us we might have an issue with the engine. You see, we're running P7, and here the engine goes!
Sorry about that, mate.
No!
I repeat, find somewhere to retire the car immediately. It's too dangerous to stay on track.
After our first ever Q3 appearance, the engine goes. Oh my goodness. On lap 8, we lose the engine. Heartbreaking end to what was a great weekend so far for us. Obviously, our first ever Q3 appearance. We were fighting for 4th on the opening lap. But it is going to be a retirement here. The 4th in a row and 5th of this season. The first time, though, for a mechanical failure. And it's just a tough end. Obviously, we had a lot of speed this weekend. We were still running 7th. And we weren't letting George Russell really pull away from us. We were keeping him within a second.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
And there you have it. Max Verstappen wins yet another race here and keeps the streak up. Charles Leclerc second. Carlos Sainz finishes off the podium. But yeah, it was just a tough end to the race here. We only made it 8 laps in a race. We could have had a shot at very good points.
Max Verstappen should be pleased
so
with his
Verstappen
performance.
won. We checked the standings. We are still 17th
Let's
in
focus
points.
on the driver of the day.
Still right behind
Natalie
Daniel
Pinkham.
Ricciardo.
Come on, who do you pick?
Well, there's no question in my mind. It has to go
But
to
unfortunately,
George
we
Russell.
look
What
at
a
the grid.
performance. He's got every
Lewis
right to be
Hamilton
proud
would
of
end
what
up
he accomplished
retiring
out
too
there
on
today.
lap 21,
It's time to check out the
and ending up
constructors'
21st.
standings. And pulling
So we
further
could
ahead
have
in the
quite
standings,
possibly
it's
ended
Red
up
Bull.
5th or 6th
Meanwhile,
at the end
good
of
work
this
from
one.
Aston Martin this weekend.
So that's what
who
makes it
pushed
even hurt
themselves
more.
further
But
up the
thank
order.
you for watching this
I'm equal
episode of
parts
My Team
exhausted
Career
and
Mode. Tune in
elated
next
with
time
this
for the
weekend
British
of Formula
Grand Prix.
One. So be sure to join us for the
And thanks
next
for
one.
watching.